Hello everyone, this is G and I'm back with another video. I apologize if it looks like that I'm looking off into the distance somewhere and not staring into the camera. I'm trying to record this horizontally and I can't quite find where the camera is, so it's like I'm staring directly into the center of the phone, right where my image is, and yet when I look at it, it looks like I'm staring off in some place. So if it looks like I'm not staring into the camera or looking at you, don't feel bad because I'm looking at it and it's like it doesn't look right. But I figured I would try to record it this way since some people have notified me that they prefer the landscape, I guess you could say, style as opposed to the vertical one. So I hope you're all doing well. It's a nice sunny day here in New York City. It's about 8:20 in the morning, and I hope you're all doing well. So I just wanted to briefly discuss an article I've seen floating around about Robert Pattinson. So for some of you, you may know that Robert Pattinson is playing Batman in the new Batman film that's supposed to be coming out at some point. Excuse me. Don't know when that is, given the coronavirus and how it's upended everything, including filming schedules. So apparently, Robert did an interview with GQ magazine, and briefly in that interview, he talks about his workout routine, or lack thereof. Excuse me. Or lack thereof during quarantine. And he says that he hasn't been working out, that his trainer left him with just a Buso ball and one weight to work out with while in quarantine. And at least at the moment, he says he hasn't been using it. He also acknowledges that, what's her name? Zoe Kravitz, right? Who's playing Catwoman in this film. She's been working out 5 days a week. Now, one of the reasons that Robert gives for not working out during this time is that stars in the 70s, such as James Dean. Was James Dean still even alive in the 70s? I don't know. But that stars such as James Dean weren't working out for their roles. And to which I say that is a poor excuse, in my opinion. Because here's the thing. Now, I don't know about James Dean, but I do know about Christopher Reeve, who for many people of a certain generation or certain generations, right, is the definitive film Superman. And while he never exactly got to say, like, bodybuilder proportions, which is what Superman typically is in the comic books, the only actor I've ever seen who I ever thought actually had that bodybuilder type look was Henry Cavill. But if you take it all the way back to the 70s, even Christopher Reeve started working out for the role and put on a bit of muscle, at least well over 10 pounds of muscle for the role of Superman. Now, of course, he won people over with his acting as opposed to looking like the comic book version, because that would have taken him literally years of basically living as a bodybuilder to get that type of look. And actors don't have years unless they're working in a particular film genre, such as the action genre, where you have to stay big and buff if you're a man in most cases. The only exception really is like the kung fu genre, right? But outside of that, if you're doing action films like Schwarzenegger when he was younger, or Stallone, right, you typically have to stay very big and buff, right? So that's the only movie genre I can think of where that look for a man is sort of required and you have to stay that way nearly all year round, right? And Robert Pattinson isn't that type of actor, and I understand that. But even Christopher Reeve back in the 70s to play Superman exercised. And while he does not get into what type of workout routine that his trainer wants him to do, we do see that, it's not as if she locked him in a commercial gym or anything. She left him with one weight and a Busu ball. which, given that he is playing a character who is noted to be big and strong, excuse me, annoying hiccups, and I don't see where, given his situation, he's being paid millions of dollars to at least get into somewhat decent shape for a role where he has to play a man who has the martial arts skills of like every fighter ever, right? And the size of a pro bodybuilder. Now, I'm not saying that Robert Pattinson should start suddenly guzzling protein powder, right, or anything of that sort, and try to bulk up in that sense. And I certainly don't want him to start adopting unhealthy practices such as taking drugs or steroids, or doing things like weight cutting or dehydrating himself to achieve a certain look. I've seen videos from Hugh Jackman when he was doing training for one of the later Wolverine films. And I've seen videos from him from Henry Cavill, more about Henry Cavill, necessarily from him, but talking about his training regimen for the Witcher series and how he looks so ripped, and he talked about how painful it is to have to dehydrate so that his muscles show more, and then there's weight cutting, which is a very common practice in boxing and MMA and in bodybuilding. It's usually called, in bodybuilding, it's called peak week, where basically a bodybuilder does their best to dehydrate so that they can bring their body fat to as low as possible, typically 5% body fat or under, right? So if he was saying that, oh, I don't want to take it to the point where I'm adopting these unhealthy practices to achieve a certain look, I could understand and even agree with where he's coming from. Because those are very unhealthy. They will definitely damage your long-term health. And I can certainly understand him not wanting to do that. But at least from the interview I read, he didn't say anything like that. He didn't say, oh, I'm trying to preserve my health. And this is just his own words. He really makes it come across as if he's being lazy, especially when he mentions that Zoe Kravitz has been working out 5 days a week. Because here's the thing. He's going to be playing a superhero in a superhero film. You need to at least look somewhat buff. I mean, okay, Chris Hemsworth works out for his role. Robert Downey Jr. works out for his, right? Even Brie Larson, like everybody, in their mother seems to dislike this woman, but even she underwent 9 months of training, right? They showed her doing the barbell hip thrust and pushing a car and all this other stuff to look more powerful, right? To look like a superhero. Now, to be fair, to be honest, as I said it earlier, the only way you're really going to get a superhero physique is if you honestly work years for it. To be perfectly honest with you, if you want to look like, say, The Rock, you would need to start working out in your teenage years and never stop. Like, pretty much like he did, right? He looks like a real-life cartoon character because of the fact that, one, he was a pro wrestler for many years. He grew up in a pro wrestling family. So there was always a certain look that he was going to pursue, that of big, beefy, strong, right? But most of us don't have that. And certainly actors, especially if they're not working in the action movie genre, don't want to get that big. And I understand that. And I certainly would never want Robert Pattinson to go to unhealthy means. I wouldn't want any actor to go to unhealthy means to achieve a look that is honestly unachievable and unsustainable in a healthy way. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you have to work out, buddy. Okay, you are getting millions of dollars to be the physical representation, to be the live action representation of a superhero that is known around the world, that is iconic. Right? People will forgive the fact that you aren't, 6'2" and 200 pounds of muscle. People will understand that. People will not forgive you not wanting to work out for a role you auditioned for. Even Ben Affleck worked out for the Batman role he had, and Batfleck was not exactly well received. Plus, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, not only does his stated resistance to working out, not and I want to be clear, he's not saying that he doesn't want to work out like 5 hours a day. That I can understand. He's saying that he's not working out at all at this time. So, in my opinion, because eventually, sooner or later, they're going to have to start filming again, right? And when you have a superhero film, you have stunts, right? You have stunts. So, to me, it's like, okay, we know Zoe's working out, and working out 5 days a week, according to Robert Pattinson. We know that the stunt people are working out because they have to. They have to stay in shape to be able to do whatever stunts are asked of them, right? So, if you're a stuntman, right? If whoever is supposed to be Pattinson's stuntman is working out and staying in shape, and the stuntman is not going to get nearly as much credit, right, as Pattinson is, why can't Pattinson bring himself to exercise, if only just to respect the work of the stunt double, especially since the stunt double, has to more or less look like him, right? They have to be of a similar body size. If Pattinson isn't working out, right, but the stuntman is, and the stuntman is, putting on muscle or whatever, if this quarantine, keeps going, months and months of exercise, your body does change. I would know. I was fit once, believe it or not. And then they're going to come back and Pattinson's going to look like the way he did before the quarantine hit, and then you're going to have a stuntman being all yoke. It's like, it's not going to match well. It's not going to mesh well. And to me, it's incredibly disrespectful that Pattinson doesn't want to work out. Honestly, I'm just saying. Maybe it's hypocritical coming from a fat woman, and fine. Maybe I am being a hypocrite there, but I'm also not the one with the big star name getting millions upon millions of dollars to do a role that I auditioned for, right? I think it's disrespectful to the character he's playing. I think it's disrespectful to his fellow actors who are putting in the work even though they're not in quarantine. Sorry, even though they are in quarantine. I think it's disrespectful to the stunt people who are putting in work because it's their job. They have to stay in shape to pull off all these crazy, insane stunts, and they don't get nearly as much money and nearly as much attention as a big name actor does. Right? So that's pretty much all I have to say about it, really. I think Pattinson is being a bit selfish. Oh, there's one more thing. He talks about he feels that other actors who have worked out intensely for their roles have set a precedent, to which I say no, that's objectively wrong. Actors like Chris Hemsworth and Hugh Jackman and whatnot and Henry Cavill did not set a precedent for this. The precedent was set by the comic books. These actors went through grueling training and dehydration, which I want to be clear. I don't agree with the dehydration thing. I wish they had not done that. But when it comes to the exercise part, right, they've gone through all this grueling training and all this stuff to set a precedent that was set by the comic books, right? Hugh Jackman got more and more muscular and more ripped over the years as he did the role of Wolverine through over the years, because the comic book version of Wolverine is ripped. Henry Cavill was, at least in part, chosen to play Superman because Superman's very tall, but like 6'2", I think like 250 pounds or something of muscle, right? Again, he has a classic bodybuilder look. And Henry Cavill, visually matches that. Chris Hemsworth worked out hard to look like Thor because Thor is, big and muscular. These men put in work to look like these comic book characters. They didn't set a precedent. They're the ones trying to reach the precedent set in an entirely different medium, because they know that when they go on, that when they are recorded, that the people watching this are going to go, hey, he looks like Wolverine, or he looks like Thor, or he doesn't, right? And this goes for the women too. For example, Gal Gadot, right? Wonder Woman, or she was chosen to play Wonder Woman, right? She caught flack for being too skinny. I'm not going to lie. I thought I was one of the ones who thought that she was too skinny for the role also. But she won people over with the acting. And I think with the real life information that she was a soldier in the Israeli army, it's like real life battle cred or something. Which I think, at least in my opinion, at least for me, helped her, right? Be more convincing as this, warrior demigoddess. Plus, there's the fact that in the 70s TV show, Linda Carter was also very slim. So it's not unheard of or uncommon in non-comic depictions to have a skinny, lithe Wonder Woman. It's just that in recent years, the more muscular version has become very popular. But the skinny, lithe version is not unheard of either. So I think that helped Gal. But still, even Gal worked out. And I think she put on, 10 pounds of muscle or something like that at that time. And it looks like she's been working out for, Wonder Woman 1984, especially the way she looks in the golden eagle armor, right? So if all of these other people, right, the stunt people, other actors and actresses are willing to put in work to better embody the visual that's always been represented by the comic book character that they're playing, because that's where the visual is set in the comics, not in the films, then why isn't Robert Pattinson, when again, he's getting millions of dollars to play a beloved superhero? He has advantages. It's even stated in the GQ article that the Batman crew are sending him meals. He's getting food from them. I think he could and should work out. And again, some may say, well, you're being a hypocrite because you're fat. Maybe I am. But again, I'm not the one being paid millions of dollars to look like Storm. You give me millions of dollars to look like Storm, I'll dye my hair, I'll get in shape, I'll do whatever you want me to. I'll wear a weave. If you give me a reason to do it, I'll do it. He has a reason. He has millions of reasons. But anyway, really now, that's the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.